Welcome to the Business Mastermind. We're so excited today to have Josh Clark with us. And Josh is here from the US. He's actually here in our office in Jaco Beach. So we're very excited that he's down here. He's down here with the trip with his company. He's a successful entrepreneur. He's also a motivational speaker. And today he's taking a little bit of time away from his family and his people to talk to us, which we are very grateful for. Josh grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. He's the oldest of 10 kids. So I'm sure there's lots of amazing stories that you could tell us about that. And he married his childhood sweetheart, Chelsea, who's also here. They have 6 kids. Very brave to travel with so many kids, and you guys are doing it well. I'm watching you. And he has a lot of experience. Like I said, he's an entrepreneur and running a successful business, including a real estate brokerage back in the day, I understand. And even at age 30 became a state congressman. So, Josh, you have a lot of wisdom and insight to share with us. I'm going to hand the mic over to you. We appreciate you so much for pouring into us, and we're excited to hear. And for everybody to know that you can please put in questions into the chat box, and he's going to allow us to have a little question answer time session with him at the very end of this call.
Thank you so much, Hannah. It's great to be with all of you. Thanks for allowing me to visit with you all. It's a privilege to be here in Costa Rica and here in Jaco, and we're having a wonderful time. And I am excited for the time here this morning talking on a topic that I am very passionate about. And I got to tell you, whenever somebody calls me a motivational speaker, it makes me a little nervous because it's like, oh no, hope I can rise to the occasion there and motivate somebody. But let me back up for a moment. Hannah asked me to just share a little bit of our story and then move in kind of the topic today, talking about success and habits and how that plays into living our best life and help a balanced life, hopefully. But let me just start by just backing up for a moment. I'd like to share with you a picture of my family because it's really the best thing I've got going for me. And you see my ugly mug, but wait till you see this. Wait till you see this. This is my my beautiful wife, Chelsea, and our 6 children. And this was at one of our regular, it seems like every year we have a wedding in our family. You heard I came from a big family, right? The oldest of 10. But my wife's the second oldest of 12. So big, huge family. Everybody wants to know, are we Catholic? Are we Mormon? Because in the United States, it seems if you have a big family, you're one of those. And growing up, I'd always just say my parents didn't have a TV. And now the joke's on our family because we have 6. So, and you can see my problem. I just got a beautiful wife. So anyway, we've known each other since since I was 5 years old, and she actually proposed to me when she was 5, and told me she was going to marry me. And the best thing I ever did was accepting that before she was old enough to know any better. So anyway, I am truly a very blessed man. And we live in Georgia, back in the States. And we, believe it or not, we love to surf. So it's great to be down here. If you know Georgia, there's not any waves in Georgia. But we lived out in California for a few years. And that's when we picked up surfing in Santa Cruz. And now we live back in Georgia. So it's great to be down here serving and getting to help out and work with the ministry that Hannah has, and we get to ride some waves as well. So we're having a great week down here with our team. Today I want to share with you 6 what I call 6 steps to success. And I know Hannah asked me to talk about habits and how habits contribute to success. We're going to talk about that, but I want to kind of back up a little bit and go through what I have discovered, like my journey has been the 6 steps. If I were to kind of boil it down to achieving success in, or some level of success, success is defined but different ways by different people. But it's been the key to me in my pursuit of success in life. Whether it's building a business that started as a teenager, our main business that we have today that supports our family. I started when I was 18 years old, at the age of 18. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. We were kind of forced to be entrepreneurs because we were the poor talked about. There's 10 of us, very poor. My father was a pastor, and so all of us kids kind of became entrepreneurs by necessity. And the business that I started at 18 ended up allowing, Hannah mentioned that I ran for public office. Toward the end, I'll share with you a little bit more about why that was, because it kind of leads to me what success is all about. So I'm going to kind of call it my bonus session. It's kind of what motivates me, and to follow these 6 steps that I'm going to talk about, what motivates me. But that motivation that I'll tell you about later led to me wanting to serve my state and running for office, being elected. But all these 6 steps, again, have contributed to each area of my life and a lot of things I've been blessed to get to do. So the first thing that I want to talk about is dreaming. To me, everything starts with a dream. Carl Sandburg said, nothing happens unless first we dream. I believe that being created, personally, I believe that we're created in the image of God. And as such, I think we're really separated from creation in the fact that we're able to dream. We're able to dream dreams and then go out there and pursue them. And it starts with a dream, but it doesn't stop there. Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can do it. I'm sure all of us, wherever we are in the world, we've heard of Walt Disney, right? He, to me, is one of the best examples of that. He dreamed dreams that people thought were crazy, but look at what he did. I always tell people, call me anything but normal. I don't want to be normal. I want to be a bit crazy. I think that most of us, whenever we're not achieving our desired outcome, it may go back to, and it certainly starts with, is the dream big enough? So, earlier this year with my team, I now lead, I left public office, kind of surprised everybody. And I went back to, actually got my first job. I've always had my own businesses, whether it was in nutrition business I started at 18, or whether it was later starting a real estate brokerage, always had my own businesses. But today I actually serve as an executive in an international company, a nutrition company, a vitamin company that's in 60 countries around the world. And I lead the North America market. And earlier this year, I started the year by getting our distributors across the US and Canada together. And I did a little session called Dream or Die, because I really believe that we're either dreaming and becoming, or else we're dying. And so, Benjamin Franklin said, some of you may have heard of him in the States. He's a kind of famous guy, invented electricity. But he says some people die at 25, but they're not buried until they're 75 years old. But they die at 25. And I feel like so many of us, and I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to anyone, because this is a constant challenge. And I think as we get older, the challenge gets greater. And so I'm certainly getting older every day. And I want, though, to become younger as I get older. And I think it's dreaming. And I think for me personally, in my journey, that I'll talk more about and why it's key to my life. But Scripture says in Proverbs 29:18, it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And I think being excited every morning about getting out of bed, and going to the office, going and showing that next home, listing that next property, or whatever your business is, or whatever it is that you do, being a parent, having a vision of where you want to take your family, brings excitement to the everyday, sometimes mundane things that are required, having that bigger vision. When you cease to dream, you cease to live. And that's kind of really my point. So let's talk for a minute about, we've got the big dream, but why is it we also know people who dream, but they stop dreaming. They stop setting goals. One minute they're dreaming, and the next minute they're dead because they dream dreams, but they feel like they haven't succeeded in achieving them. So it's like, why dream? Why set goals to achieve that dream? And so that's where I feel like the next several steps have been important in my life for taking the dream and helping and beginning to fulfill that dream, achieve that dream, make progress toward that dream. And the second is, and if you're writing things down, you might write this down, is deciding. First you dream, and then you got to decide. You got to decide that you're going to pursue that dream. Think about it like this, because it's only the second step. And I think you'll see why in a moment, because while deciding is important, people can decide to pursue a relationship, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're committed. So we're going to get to the difference between deciding to pursue something and being committed to it. And I'll share with you how that made all the difference in the world in my business in a moment. But the dream and the decision is important along the journey. You decide to date a girl and get to know her, to discover maybe is that the one, or decide to a guy, to get to know him, to decide is he the one, but you're not committed to it. You decide to start a business, to get your real estate license. Did you know that in the States, they say that 80% of realtors have never sold their first home? Now, they made a decision to get their real estate license. They may have, just like somebody decides to join the gym. In January, people flock to the gym, right? They have this dream of getting fit, looking great by summer on the beach, right? So they dream of that. They make a decision. They join the gym. But it's not enough. Number 3 is we got to come up with a plan. What is our plan of action? Every business plan. I invested in fact, I just got an update a few minutes ago in a business earlier this year. And the first thing I wanted to know is what was their vision? Was the vision big? I wanted it to be crazy. I wanted to, I want to invest in something that could be big one day. So I wanted a big dream. I wanted to see that they were motivated, passionate. I wanted to see that they, had they made a decision, they had to pursue that. And then did they have a detailed plan? Did they have, do you and I have a plan for the year? I'll tell you something that I do every year that's been key, quintessential for Chelsea and I, is we take off a couple days. Now, I'll tell you something. I don't know about your December, but our December is crazy busy. I got to fly either out to the West Coast or some other place or country, if we're an international company, for our end-of-year management meetings. I've got that in December. For our business, we're in the health and wellness business. January is a huge month for us. So December is about me getting ready, launching January and all the initiatives and stuff that go with that. So my point is, some of you might feel like this is hard, and let me just be honest with you. This is very hard for me to do, but we cannot afford not to do it. And we love the holidays, of course. It's busy time. Huge families are all coming in and all, right? But we get away for a couple of days, and we hold each other accountable to this. And we develop a plan. And we have a year plan, we have a 5-year plan, and we have a life plan. And we have, we break that down into a bunch of different areas, right? From our business to family to spiritual life. But I'm always updating that every year. and we're celebrating our wins, and then we're recalibrating for the next year where we fell short, right? And I revisit that plan monthly. I revisit that plan quarterly, and because I tell you that quarterly thing, I got to tell you, it took me a while to get that into place. But I found that, it's dangerous to set a plan and not revisit it until the end of the year, because you're not making adjustments throughout the year. And but that's been key for us. In fact, there's a book that I'll tell you how to contact me in the end if you want to connect on how a book that we that helped us to get started with that years ago. But part of that plan, though, is broken down into what are not only, again, the monthly goals, quarterly goals, yearly goals, but then it's broken down into what are the daily habits that I need to have to make those goals a reality by the end of the year. So I am huge about habits. Because Aristotle said we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. And once you can put things into habits, they're on autopilot, right? All of a sudden, you don't think about, if you're a coffee drinker, and I'm in Costa Rica, right? Probably most of us are coffee drinkers. That's just a habit. So we could do a whole talk on habits, and I've done that. I'm not getting into that today deep, but I'll say this. Again, speaking of a coffee habit, well, what do you do right before you have your coffee? What do you do right after you have your coffee? How do you stack things to habits that are already in place? For me, one of my habits is deciding first thing in the morning. And I recommend you do this at night, the night before, or first thing in the morning, deciding this is a habit, what are the things that absolutely are essential, the 3 to 5 things that have to be done in order to get me to where I need to be at the end of the year. And generally that's just 3 things that have to be done. Now I'll tell you, one of those for me is like, I'm writing a book right now. I've got several books that I've been excited about for years, but I haven't really made progress toward that. And so one of my habits is I will not go to bed unless I've spent, now this is going to sound crazy to you, okay? Maybe for a moment, but just 5 minutes on the book. Now you might say, what is this going to be? A little pamphlet? No, but here's what I know. If I commit to 5, at least 5, no matter how crazy the day is, I'll actually do it. Sometimes we get so excited at the beginning of the year, we set these huge goals, and we have these, every day I'm going to work out for whatever, an hour a day or 2 hours a day, right? Well, start small. There's nothing wrong with starting very, very small. In fact, I encourage people, they want to work out, I say start with 2 minutes. That's fine. Hopefully you get up to 30 minutes a day. By the way, my wife's a trainer. So something we do for free, we have people join us around the world, is she does a 30-minute workout that I do with her. And we broadcast it live. And it's 30 minutes, it's 2% of your day. But it doesn't have to start with 30 minutes. It can start with just 2 minutes, just putting on your shoes and walking to the mailbox and back. Small, start small. Never despise small beginnings, right? Because they could grow into huge successes. So anyway, you got to have a plan though, but it doesn't stop and start with the plan. The next thing, which is to me is huge, is commitment. And I think people confuse deciding to pursue something with actually being committed to it. And again, remember I said earlier, you can decide to become a real estate agent and get your license. That doesn't mean you're committed. You see, in my business, I help people start what we call like the people's franchise, little mini franchises, small businesses. They become distributors of their company for less than $100. So it's so easy to get in. It's like being a realtor. I didn't find the test easy, right? But anyone can do it. In the States, I'm assuming it's true in Costa Rica. I don't know. In most places, you don't have to go to school for 4 years. So anyone can do it. And that's why, part of the reason why so few people actually succeed at it, because it's so easy to get in. But there's no major pain. See, there's two primary motivators. There's the promise of gain and the fear of loss. And the fear of loss is more powerful. So if, for example, I come back to real estate, I know not everyone's a realtor here, but we have many, and I was, or am actually still, but realtors, there's no major pain of loss. If you go start a McDonald's franchise, oh my gosh, I promise you, that your chances of success, just because you made a major investment, go up regardless of how good the business is, because there's a lot of pain in what you lose, right? So back to that number one, having a big dream, the promise of gain, the dream has to be big enough that it motivates you to action so that you decide to pursue it, and then you develop a plan and you make a commitment. Now, for me, I'll tell you what, in my business starting out this was early on, I remember realizing that I wasn't having the success that I wanted in life because I had never really committed. Let me give you a story. Let me give a quick story that will kind of bring this to life. A father and son were having a conversation over breakfast. And the son was asking his father about the difference between, he said, we're studying the difference between making a contribution to something versus making a commitment. And the father said, well, that's easy, son. What do you see on your plate? And the son said, ham and eggs. He said, exactly. He said, what did the chicken do? The chicken made a contribution. The pig made a commitment. So the coach said to his rowers, there's a coach of a rowing team. He said, row like pigs, row like pigs. And so when I think about success, I think about rowing like pigs, right? Being all in, being committed. The number one threat to achieving success in business, in lifestyle you want to pursue, freedom, is distraction. And now more than ever, distraction is rampant. I mean, look at this thing right here. You know what I'm talking about? This thing is so distracting. It's an amazing tool, but it's full of distractions. In the 21st century today, the world has never seen a level of distractions that we're dealing with. And it affects not only our children, but it affects us regardless of what age we're at and where we are in life. Is that not true? So it comes back to, you've got to commit. Most entrepreneurs, again, I'm a serial entrepreneur, they struggle big time with staying focused long enough to get the results that they want. Because when you punch a clock, at least that helps, right? Because somebody tells you got to show up, you got to be here. If you're not there, then you're in trouble, right? You may not be around. So, but if you're an entrepreneur, especially if you are an independent contractor, I'm telling you, you got to make that commitment. The reality is everyone is committed to something, but through indecision, you commit to mediocrity. But through a conscious decision, I believe that you and I can commit to and achieve greatness. It's been said, you cannot conquer what you're not committed to. Share another quote that I love. There's a difference between being interested in something and being committed in it. When you're interested in doing something, you do it when it's convenient. When you're committed, you do something. When you're committed to something, you accept no excuses, only results. Truett Cathy, who started Chick-fil-A, if you go to the States, you got to have Chick-fil-A, right? That's from our hometown, Atlanta, Georgia. Truett Cathy now has the most successful food franchise in the world in terms of sales per unit. They are far greater than McDonald's, okay? In a whole other league of their own now. I mean, they're, again, number one. Everyone wants a Chick-fil-A. And this is a quote from Truett Cathy. Our family had the privilege of getting to know the Cathy family. And Truett said, when you're fully committed to something, you're not likely to give up or get discouraged. It works in our business life as well as in our personal life, relationships, and our relationship also to Jesus Christ. As I told you, that's number one for my wife and I. And so it applies to that as well. When you're fully committed, you see strange and unusual things that wouldn't happen otherwise. He said that's been the key to his success into life. And I'll tell you something. I found that when I committed to my business, when I was all in, all of a sudden success started just being attracted, and people were attracted to me. People were coming at me, and all of a sudden I'm getting customers and I'm getting, business partners so much easier. Because even though I was saying everything, when I wasn't fully committed, part of that commitment also is when Truett Cathy's son asked me and offered me, said, we want you to join corporate, or you can have a store, either way. And I remember commitment also was, I said no to him, that I was going to pursue the business that I had because I was committed to it. And after that, all of a sudden my business took off. So anyway, moving along here. No, I'm not going to move along quite yet. I want to share one more thing on this. I'm also a cross-country coach. I love speaking of, she said, motivating, coaching people. Running is one of the hardest sports there is, right? I tell my athletes, I say, congratulate the football players. And I love football, by the way. If you're a football fan, love it. But anyway, I told my team one day, we were all together with the football team and pep rally. I said, hey, when those football players go up there, I said, you got to cheer for them. I said, because they're the guys who couldn't make the cross country team because they couldn't keep on going without stopping. Right? That's key to success. Keep on going. And I love so being a cross country coach. This is one of those quotes that I love to share with my team. And Will Smith said, probably many of you are familiar with Will Smith, and as an actor, Will Smith said, I had this here. I wanted to read it to you. There it is. The only thing I see that is distinctively different about me is that I'm not afraid to die on a treadmill. I will not be outworked, period. You might have more talent than me. You might be smarter. You might be sexier. But if we get on a treadmill together, there's two things I know. You're getting off first or I'm going to die. It's really that simple. And so that's commitment. Now, number 5 and number 6, we're going to cover these quickly. But without number 5 and number 6, there will be no success. Number 5 is action. Too often, we're always planning, but not doing. And if you're not achieving the success that you want, even in your marriage, this is important, right? Action, me planning a date with my wife, right? I say I'm committed, but if I'm committed, she's going to see some action out of me. Action follows commitment. If you're committed, you're going to take action. It only takes 5 minutes a day. As I said earlier, writing my book to take action. And I'll tell you something, I have some big rewards set up for myself rewards are important, by the way. You got to have fun as you pursue these 6 steps. So I'll tell you one of my rewards, and there's so much more to be said about that and setting goals and how rewards are critical. But I'll just say this quickly. For example, for me, I've had a dream to get my pilot's license. So as soon as my book is finished, I'm going to get my pilot's license. I'm super excited about that. I've already got a plane picked out and everything. But it starts with, you got to take action every day. Okay. So be a person of action. The next thing I want to say, if you're not getting the results you want, either you're not committed, okay? If you're not taking action, if you're not taking action every day, you're either not committed or you haven't taken the 6th step and the final step that I want to talk about today. And that is ask. Ask what? Ask for accountability in your life. Ask for help. Ask for advice. It's so easy to feel like if it's going to be, it's up to me, right? I got to make this all come together. I got to make this happen. And I'm still learning this every day. But asking for help, asking other people for help, that's important. Now, don't ask for help if you're not, following the other steps. If you're not committed, if you're not taking action. Somebody's not taking action. I'm not going to help them with their business if they're not taking action, right? But if you're taking action, then ask for help. Here's the other thing that you ask for. This is something that, let me be honest with you. Anything that I've been blessed to have success in, this has been critical to it. Accountability. Ask for accountability. Now, I'll tell you something. I have learned this in the real estate, being involved in real estate more than anything. I noticed that successful brokerages, successful agents, they may be independent, but they ask for accountability. You know, how many listings, you know, been out of the business for a long time now, but you know what the metrics are. You know, how many showings, how many listings, it starts with how many phone calls are you making, how many connections, you know, and keeping track of that and being accountable to somebody, not necessarily because you have to, but because you want to, even if it's painful. That's been true in my marriage. You know, I have people I'm accountable to. When I was a politician, you know, there's plenty of threats every day to our marriage. But as a politician, you know, most politicians wreck their marriages, okay? And by God's grace, I didn't. But, you know, there's several reasons for that, right? That God did that miracle. I'm more in love with my wife than ever before. But, you know, part of that was I asked for accountability because I realized, you know, that I'm not invincible, that I can fall, I can be killing it, crushing it in any area of my life. But without having the right people around me holding me accountable, I can just as easily fall off. We're not designed to live life on our own. I had somebody ask me, do you think some people are just destined? This young person asked me one day, do you think some people, they're just destined for greatness? I mean, they were wired with it all. And I said, no, I thought about it for a moment. I don't think anybody is. I don't think anybody can become their true potential and be their very best without people pushing them, challenging them, holding them accountable. So I hope that number 6 is something that maybe you just need to hear number 6, or, you know, maybe it was number 2, number 1, dreaming, but 6 is important as well. And now, and wrapping this up, by the way, I can start getting long-winded and think how am I going to talk for 30 minutes? And then I go on for longer. But here's the bonus for me. If I could share just a bonus that I hope will speak to somebody. Here's the key for me on top of these 6 steps. It ties right into every one of them. But the key to sustaining a cycle of excellence. And that is having a purpose in life that's bigger than you. Having a purpose in life that is bigger than you. In fact, I want to show you, hopefully I haven't been, there we go. I want to show you this is kind of my definition of success, because I've seen people go out there and just crush it in life and they're not happy. You know, personal life maybe is a wreck, or, you know, they've achieved everything that everybody says you're supposed to have, and they're not happy, or they're not finding that drive, and they can't even get to the step of dreaming. They're like, I feel dead, depressed, discouraged, whatever. Here's what's been, this is just my own journey, okay? But this is what has been, this is how I define success. Success for me equals knowing my purpose in life, finding a purpose that's bigger than you, and pursuing it with excellence while making a positive and lasting impact on the world around you. You see, I think about life as a rocking chair. When I'm sitting in that rocking chair at the end of my life, what's going to matter? Will you pause with me for a moment and think about this? Because I personally, I don't want to just, if I can motivate someone, you might say, yeah, Josh, you're motivational. You might say, don't call him a motivational speaker. But regardless, I don't want to motivate somebody to just get it all and then sit in that rocking chair and say, what was the purpose of that? Now what? And realize it wasn't worth it, right? And I don't want them to get to the end of their life and sit in that rocking chair and say, I wish I would have taken that gamble. I wish I'd have taken that chance. I wish I'd have dared to dream. Oh man, that scares me more than anything, right? Because this is not a dress rehearsal. We get one chance at this. That's it, right? And so when I think about that rocket chair, I think about what's going to matter to me. And this takes you back to my statement, my definition of success. When I think in that rocket chair, and you got to ask yourself, what is that when you sit in a rocket chair? I picture I am sitting overlooking the beach, some beautiful waves. My kids are out there surfing them. My grandkids are out there surfing them. The sun is truly setting. And I'm asking myself, did my life count? Did it really matter? And I'll tell you what I'm going to think about. Here's what, for me, personally, fill in the blanks for you. Number one, did I keep the faith? Did I keep the faith? Right? Was I sincere in my did I have a personal relationship with Jesus? And did I keep that genuine until the end? Number two, my wife and my kids, right? And it doesn't matter where we're at today on that. Take an inventory of the relationships. If that matters to you also, take a look at the inventory of relationships around you and say, what am I doing to invest in those? Because the people around you are critical to your success as well. You can't do this alone. So how are you investing in that? Not for what you can get out of it, but for giving back to them, to that circle. So how are those relationships? And then finally, the last thing is, did I make a difference in a way that will exist long after I've left? Carry on. See, I've named bridges after people and highways after people, and you know what? If they've made a contribution and a difference, if they've helped people, that's a privilege for me when I was a politician. But it always felt just like blah. I mean, is that really what? I mean, you see roads named after people, and you're like, who was that person? Who were they? I tend to think I got a little negative, and I'm like, who do they think they were, right? But here's what matters, I think. When I'm long gone, maybe they don't remember my name at all. But did I invest in people in a way that continued a perpetual cycle? When you make a difference for that one child, your child, someone else's child, and they go out there and make this world a better place, and they touch someone, and they touch someone, as far as I'm concerned, that's the only thing that stays after I leave. That will carry on. And so, anyway, what is your purpose in life? Finding a purpose that's greater than us. I believe that is absolutely key to success. I've found that's the key oftentimes. Sometimes it's a health issue or, could be more complicated, but oftentimes depression even comes back to logotherapy, which if I'm invited back, I'd love to talk about that one day, logotherapy. But logotherapy, the number one thing is finding a purpose that's greater than yourself. It's amazing what it does. And then pursuing it with excellence. Me, God created me, I'm created in his image, he says. And my gift back to God is to pursue excellence and be the best I can be and never stop pursuing that excellence in my life. So that in the end, I can honor him and make hopefully increase my impact in the world around me in a positive way. So thank you so much for letting me talk with you all. It's been a privilege to be here. And if there's any comments or questions or, again, comments, love to hear them.
Josh, thank you. And maybe you could go through, if you could just tell us your 6 points, just the titles of them. I think I tried to write down the outline, but it might be good for you just to go over the outline really quick.
Yes, and I wish I should have put together a slide for that, but here you go. Number one, dream. Please write this down if you're writing it down. Dream or die. I know it sounds so brutal said that way, but it's the truth. You're dreaming or you're dying. Number one. Number two, decide. Decide to actually pursue that. Like, okay, when I came here, to meet Hannah started with a dream of our family going to a Latin American country. And then we decided to pursue it and to see, okay, what's involved with that? in our case, that took several years, and then we got so blessed. We just can't even believe it, how we came to Hako, and that's another story. But that was us deciding to pursue it, and then creating, number 3, a plan. So number 1, dream. Number 2, decide. Number 3, plan. Number 4, commit. It's not enough to have a plan. You got to commit. Number 5 is take action. I'm so big about this with the teams that I lead. Like, we'll have a meeting, we'll go over the strategy, we'll go over the plan, and then I want action taken like immediately as soon as we walk out of there. Even if it's just a small step, like a step of action must take place immediately, because that's key. Number 6 is ask. Dream, decide, plan, commit, take action, and ask for help. Ask for accountability.
Very good. Okay, I put that in the chat box. I added a 7th, which was have a purpose for your life that's bigger than you.
Yes.
You're gonna have to change it to 7, the 7 keys. We do have a question here, and it is from Abby, and she asks, how do you juggle and prioritize all the things that you've committed to, such as family, work, coaching, writing, exercising, and all the other things you're involved in? I think you remind me of me, like I'm Mach 5 in 20 different ways, and everybody keeps up or they don't. But how do you juggle all of that?
Well, that's a great question that I'm still trying to figure out every day, right? And that's part of the reason why I'm constantly reading. One of my 3 daily success habits every day, speaking of constantly wanting to learn and answer that question that you're asking, is I read every day for at least 15 minutes or listen to a podcast, something, because again, I'm either growing or dying. Okay, I'm either dreaming or dying. I'm either growing or dying. I'm still trying to figure that out, to be honest with you. But here's a couple things that I have figured out. One of those is what I said earlier about taking a few days off before the first of the year, no matter how painful it is. The more painful it is, the more you cannot afford not to, or else you will get to the end of your life and you and I will have major regrets. So every year, I believe every single person should do this. Take a day, hopefully at least one night. Like, you got to get away for enough time to be able to get away from the craziness of your life, right, of the world. And so it starts there, and then it helps me prioritize down what is important to me. And then every week, I didn't say this, but every week, Sunday morning for me, I tend to go to bed late and get up early, okay? But I get up early on Sunday morning, normally, and I will prioritize my next week. And I focus on what are the things that I have to do in order to achieve the goals that I've set for the year. Like, what is going to help me advance the ball, football or soccer ball, down the field? Or else another week will go by and I will be busy as ever. But busyness, and you're asking this question so you understand this, busyness does not equate with achieving what we want in life necessarily, right? So that's big for me. And just really, of course, a lot more obviously could be said about that and how I'm doing that. One of them is delegating. You get to a certain point, you've got to start delegating, because entrepreneurs are the worst at this. And it's one of my weaknesses, is this kind of idea. If I'm going to get it done right, you got to do it yourself. That is the biggest lie ever, right? Hannah, I see how good you are at this. And I think I even have watched you the last couple of days and thought of it just this morning. I thought, Hannah is so good at that. And through her delegating, she gives other people a chance to be a part of what you're doing, to be a part of the team. And so many are better at doing things than I am. But I guess part of it's not just thinking I can do it better, which I don't think I really necessarily think that too often. But I can be so busy I don't slow down to train somebody or to ask somebody for help. So the ask for help step has been really important for me. So anyway, I do think that, last comment on that, if I may, I do think that pausing for a few minutes in the morning, like for me, that's not only to prioritize my day, but the first thing I do before I get out of bed is and even this physical act has been important. I started this last summer in the midst of COVID, just getting on my knees. Like the physical act of getting on my knees beside my bed and just surrendering the day to the Lord, right? And that's part of my faith and part of, when I ground myself and center myself and I realize this day has been given to me, and I just, Lord, I surrender it back to you. Help me today. And then as I'm ending that prayer, then I'm looking at my phone, which is like my everything, my notepad, and I'm like, okay, what are the things that I need to do to make this day count? So that helps me out. And it helps me then with all the noise all day long and the wheels that squeak and demand your attention. Hannah?
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, it definitely seems like you've made focusing and refocusing a huge priority in your life. And I think that's evident to all of us. I think just in this short call, all of us are very clear what your priorities are. So I'm sure that shows in the way that you live as well. And I love that your dream or die philosophy. I'm a bit of an extremist too. So that it is this or nothing else is so important. Maybe we can end our time, unless there's other questions, of just advice that you would give anyone who's listening that feels stuck or discouraged, like, maybe they have a dream that they've put on the back burner, or maybe they, have recently started, selling real estate, or, started being an entrepreneur and starting up their own business, but they feel stuck or discouraged. Is there any words that you'd like to give them? Any first steps? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. I was looking over the comments, and, one thing I want to encourage you to do, I go back to the last one and then answer this one, is, and the last question is, take time for yourself to exercise. In my business, we don't sell exercise, right? We sell health products, but we don't sell exercise. But I am so passionate about that. And I'll tell you something, I can relate with you if you struggle to exercise. That is so important in having a balanced life, and I think achieving success in any area. So this is not about exercise, but that is important. Like if I leave that out, I'm not being fair, not being honest. But I have cut that out during periods of my life to my own detriment, because at times I felt guilty about it. Does that make sense to anyone? Like I felt like I've got so much going on that for me to go to the gym, I don't have to do that. And I've cut that out. Let me tell you something. Exercising is absolutely, if you don't take care of you, you cannot be in the right mindset. You won't have the energy. You won't have the perseverance to be able to succeed in the way that you were created to, okay? So what about if you feel like you've set goals and dreams? Is that what you're saying, Hannah? You've started a business and you failed?
Yeah, or maybe you committed to it, but what you're doing doesn't seem to be working. You feel stuck, maybe like that process of refocusing, or the process of, I kind of think, sometimes we commit to something and it's not working and we need to readjust, or we're feeling discouraged in the middle of it, because, accomplishing dreams, failure and figuring things out, that's part of the process. So how do we keep going?
Number one, you got to have the right mindset about failure. And Hannah just said it. You got to have the right mindset about failure. Sarah Blakely, who is the youngest, or was a couple years ago, the youngest self-made female billionaire on the Forbes billionaire list, said, celebrate failure. And it goes back for her to she was a little girl. Her dad would always ask her and her brother, what did you fail at today? So too often, and Hannah just reminded me of this as she was saying that, like, yeah, I agree with Hannah. How do you view failure? If successful people fail more than unsuccessful people. And that's hard for me, y'all, I'm being honest too, because I don't like to fail. You know, I want to do everything I can to set myself up for success. But if I'm not willing and don't celebrate failure as a necessary part of the equation, I will never do big, great things. I will live so far below my potential. So I just want to say, if you failed at something, guess what? That means you actually set out to actually do something. So congratulations. Congratulations. And now go back to those 6 steps or 7 steps. I agree with you, Hannah. Go back to those 7 steps and ask yourself, go through each of them. Was the dream big enough to actually motivate me, get me excited about doing this? Maybe I'm pursuing something that's not even in line with my purpose. Maybe. More often than not, it's just don't quit. But let me tell you something. My biggest successes in life have come after tons of failure. Like I'm sitting here coaching people in my business across North America and putting together systems that are used around the world for our business. And I think about it, I wasn't the most successful person at it. In fact, I failed so much and have even had the rug pulled out, my own failures, plus the rug getting pulled out from underneath me multiple times where I had nothing even to do with that rug getting pulled out from underneath me. But all of those successes, all of those failures have made me a better coach. I honestly, get two emotions when I see people fail. Again, remember, I'm also the oldest of 10. And, you know, I'm really big about being mentored and mentoring. Okay. And so I love my siblings so much. Some of the people I've been blessed the most to get to mentor is my younger brothers. Okay. So think about this for a moment. You got a younger brother, you love him so much, you do anything for him, right? Maybe that's your child, right? Now it's my children, right? And you see them fail at something, you have 2 emotions. One is like my heart just breaks, right? My heart breaks. I feel like I'm going through it with them, even though I can't, but you feel like you are, right? And then number 2 is excitement. Because it's like, if they can handle this failure right, they have set themselves up for even greater success. I really believe that that is so true, and that we often believe a lie that who am I to succeed? Look at me. Who am I to do something great? Look where I came from. Everybody knows who I am, right? And I really wrestled with that myself. I just came from, you know, an average, I'm grateful for amazing parents, but we didn't have much, right? Anyway, so much I could tell you about some of the challenges that I went through in life that I felt like really just set me back and hold me back until all of a sudden I realized they're stepping stones, right? So wish I had given you a shorter answer. Sorry about that, but I do get really excited about that topic of failure and how it sets us up for success. And, you know, people are inspired by people who overcome tremendous obstacles, right? I mean, last thing I want to say on that is, in the United States, we have a lottery. People are maybe jealous of lottery winners, but never inspired. I'm so inspired when I see people who fail, but keep getting back up and going again. So go at it again.
Well, thank you so much. We are running out of time. We appreciate you again sharing these 7 steps with us. And I want to give you just a chance to maybe plug Neolife and let people know how to contact you, and maybe if they want to join you and your wife as you guys do your daily workouts, or if they have any questions for you outside of this meeting.
Well, here's how you can connect with me. If you want to email, Facebook, and then if you want to email me and you want to join the free workouts we do every morning at 6:30 a.m. your time, but it can be done anytime. People do them throughout the day. And we're getting ready to add more trainers to the platform, so that's growing and evolving. But I want to thank you, Hannah. Thank you so much for just how you've blessed our team, the friend that you've been to us. So appreciate you and Sean and your family. And I just want to say you are an amazing example to Chelsea and I of how you are pursuing excellence in your life, the purpose that drives you, that all of it is about, and we've just seen this now over several years, how it's about contributing and giving back. And I see the happiness, fulfillment that gives you. And I see the impact that you're having. And so we're excited to just be a part of what you're doing. For those who may not know, we're staying here at Ocean's Edge, a ministry that Hannah runs. And it's a privilege to be a part of that and see the great work that you're doing and hear it directly, not from you, but from the lives that are being touched through it. So, if anybody gets a chance to be a part of that, I hope that if they don't know about it, I hope they'll reach out to you and they'll engage with that. And maybe we'll get to serve alongside them. It's, I think serving through your ministry is, I hope that we're that we're offering value, but I know for sure it's offering a lot of value. When you try to give, it really comes back to you tenfold. And so thank you for being a blessing to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to end our call, I'll tell you guys, Josh and his a lot of families that are involved in his company, Neo Life, which you guys can look up and find out more about. They have dedicated half of their time here in Costa Rica, or a little bit more than half. And today they are completely revamping a local park in Jaco Beach, Costa Rica. So here in Costa Rica, you are without a doubt going to impact this community, and you have a whole week set out of activities that are going to bless this community. So we appreciate you. Thank you so much, everybody, for logging on and joining our call. And we will post this video both in Spanish and in English for you guys to access to and to refer back to. And you are, of course, welcome to contact Josh directly as well. I hope you all have a wonderful day and that you guys were encouraged with the information shared.
Oh, Hannah, one thing that maybe I should have given, if you go to joshsclark.com, you'll find a whole series of videos on different topics on personal growth and leadership development. So that's in the process of being revamped, but you go to joshsclark.com. And that'll also give you links to my podcast, which is Overcomers with Josh S. Clark. So should have maybe given that way I can offer maybe encouragement or value along the journey.
All right, very good. Yeah, I put that in the chat box. Thank you very much. And everybody have a wonderful day.